Hey everyone, it's Theresa here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to share with you a Photoshop tutorial for working with digital templates. I am working in Adobe Creative Cloud, the CC version of Photoshop, and this is the finished layout that I will be sharing with you. So in this video, I will have the Photoshop tutorial, and then also I will link up the process video for once this layout is printed and where I assemble it as a hybrid scrapbook layout. So I have pulled up a couple of things already, so you didn't have to see me digging around. I pulled up the Photoshop template here. And then I also have some of the pattern papers that I'm going to be using. This is from the Sahlin Studio flashback collection. And then I've also pulled up my 3 photos for this layout that I plan to use. This is the primary photo, the focal point for my layout. This is from a trip to the Outer Banks that we made in 2019. And so let me go into the template here and first off show you just a couple of things around the screen. And so first off is our layers menu. And so each one of the elements on the page are located on a layer in the layers menu, and you can turn one off if you don't want it to show. You can delete the layer altogether, but it'll keep the rest of your template intact. And then we also have our tools menu here, which is the move tool. So this allows you to move something. I'm going to just undo that really quick in the edit menu. We've got some other selection tools, the crop tool here, and let's see, we'll probably use the zoom tool as well, which is at the bottom, and then I'll use some of the others, but I just wanted you to know where the tool menu is and the layers menu, and those are going to be the 2 main menus that we're going to use. And so what I want to do first is let's zoom in here and take a look at what in particular is on this template. And so I shared with you, or I pointed to the photo. These are the photo layers. And then let me turn this off and you can see the other elements that are going to go on this page. It looks like a paper strip or a ribbon, a patterned paper, a patterned paper, patterned paper, patterned paper, and then the X's and the circle represent embellishments. And then there's also a text layer here where you can add your journaling. So we've got about, let me turn these photos back on. We've got 3 photos, 4 or so pattern papers, and a couple of embellishments, and then our text. So let's go first off to our pattern papers. And so in order to bring this pattern paper into the template, I want to either drag and drop it, or I'm going to copy paste it. And so what I want to use that for is this long strip here. And what I want to do first is to click on that layer so that that's where it's going to land when we copy paste it into the page. And so let me just go back to the patterned paper now that I've selected that layer. Let me just go back to the pattern paper, and I'm going to click Control A and Control C. And that's obviously the Control Alt or Control All command and the Control Copy command on a PC. And so now I have that copied on my clipboard in the background in Photoshop. And then now I'm going to go back to the template and I'm going to click Control V. And Control V will allow me to, that will bring in this pattern paper into my template. And you can see now that it's positioned above the layer that we want it clipped to. So we're going to clip that so that only the strip shows. And so with my mouse, I'm going to right click on the patterned paper layer and I'm going to say create clipping mask. And now we have that just on that strip. I'm going to do the same for the second strip. And so I'm going to Control V. That pattern paper is still on my clipboard in the background. So Control V brings it right back up again. And then we're going to create the clipping mask again. And then it shows on both of those pattern paper strips. And we're going to just do that with all of the pattern papers. So let me go back here. Hold on. I'm going to do the next pattern paper is a sort of a craft color. So I'm going to put that on this layer. So let me go and copy and paste that. And then right click and select create clipping mask. Fantastic. This one here is the background paper. And I chose to use this as the background paper, one, because it had some more interesting elements with the camera and the arrows on it. And they fit in really beautifully with the other elements of the template. They're going to just show behind the photos and the pattern papers. So let me copy paste that. And let me select the background layer to clip that to. There we go. And so let me zoom that back out so you can see how that looks on the background. And you could certainly move the elements if you wanted all of that to show underneath there. One thing I did when I wrote my journaling was I journaled around this arrow here at the bottom of the screen, and I left the numbers there, but you could do a clone stamp and delete that if you wanted to, or you could cover it with other embellishments if you wanted to. So then let me grab the next pattern paper, this blue one here. And we're going to put that one here. And so let me paste that into place and then create the clipping mask. And is that it? Which one did I do? Oh, there was one more pattern paper square. It's right back here. So let me clip that again. There we go. Okay, and now all of the pattern paper pieces are on there. So I'm going to close all of those out and just work with the photos now. So my photos are just as they are off the camera. This is how I imported them from my camera. They have not been edited, but I am going to edit them real quick. And so for editing purposes, I'm going to go into the adjustments layer and click on curves. And so curves will bring up this fabulous little tool that allows you to quickly brighten an image. And so if you drag the upper part of the line up, then that will brighten. And if you click down here in the lower half, that will help you adjust a little bit more on that curve. I usually do just a slight up here and a slight down on the lower half to get a nice little S curve. It's very gentle. You can barely even tell that I've done anything, but it brightens up some of those shadows just a little bit. On this image, I might just make it more of a bell curve. just to brighten up some of the shadows on Nick's skin, and it makes that water come to life a little bit more. So when we do an adjustment like that, it creates an adjustment layer over top of the photo. And so we want to go into our layers menu and click flatten image. And then I'm going to crop it. And so I want a photo that's 4:6. So I'm going to just do 1800 pixels by 1200 pixels. You can type that in, or you can type in 6 inches by 4 inches. And I'm going to, Natalie's arm is right there in the photo. I'm also going to bring that down just a little bit and click OK. And then I'm going to hit Control A. Actually, that's not how I want to crop that. Let me crop that again. This wants to be a vertical image. I'm going to use it in this element here. So let me crop that at 1200 by 1800 instead. And if you don't know exactly what your image size is in your template, you can click on the element itself, and I'll show you in just a second. So I've cropped that vertically the way that I wanted, and I'm going to hit OK, and let me Control A and Control C and come in here and go back into the Move tool. So if I click on this, and let's just say I drag this corner in and out, and it's going to show you, and you can see it's like 3.5 by 5.25. Let me click this little circle with a line through it so that it just goes back to the original dimensions. But that way I know that a 4:6 image will fit on that. So let me Control V and drag that over top of that block, and then create clipping mask again, and then let me size the photo down just a little bit more to get the most of it onto the template. Perfect. And then we can go do this to the second one. And so I'm gonna again go to the curves tool and increase the brightness a little bit. It's not really it's technically not the brightness. And I think I'm going to bring that out a little bit as well. Okay, and then go to your layers menu and click flatten image. Okay, and then we're going to crop, and this time we're going to do we're going to leave it at a vertical orientation as well. And let me just center that a little bit more. So this layout is for Addison's album, and what I'm doing is sort of positioning him using the rule of thirds, and so he's falling, his face is falling right on that intersection there. Okay, so let me copy that again. Oops. Make sure you're in the Move tool, and then hit Control V again. And let's go back over to the layers menu and right click and then create clipping mask. Okay, and then let me just size it down a little bit. Now when I grab these corners, I am pressing on the Shift key so that it maintains its aspect ratio. If you want a different way of maintaining aspect ratio besides using the Shift key, you can click on this little link button here. I call it a link button. And you can click on that, and then whatever you do with that image, it's going to maintain its aspect ratio for you. and then click OK, and you'll have that photo inside your block. And then we have one more photo. And so again, going into the adjustments, into the tone curve, and you can see how that brightens up their faces a little bit so that it's a little bit easier to make out the details of their faces. There was a bit of shadow from the sun that day. And so then I'm going to flatten my layer here and go to the crop tool, and this time I want 1800 by 1200. And I also want to get as much of the sky and the dunes as possible in this image. Okay, and then Control A, Control C, go back to the Move tool and copy paste that into our block. And I'm just using the Shift and the down arrow to move this image over top of that block. There we go. And that one is pretty close to the size of the clipping mask. Oops, that's not what we want. So going into the layers menu and then create clipping mask will give the photo like I want it. And I can slide that down just a little bit more. Again, just so that you have some of the sky there and some of the dunes located in the photograph. And then another thing that I'm going to show you, I want to go ahead and close these images real quick, and then I'm going to show you how to type the text. Your other embellishments, of course, you can add directly here. And then let me go into the text tool. And so I'm just going to click on that big giant T, and that's going to bring up all the fun details of our text tool here. You also want to go to the layer that contains the text. So let me find where that is in the thing. Actually, if you click on it, there we go. It takes it to it. So the font that the designer has used, it's telling me that the following fonts are missing for text layer journal here, PG and script. Font substitution will occur, continue. And so just click OK. That means that it can't find that particular font in my library. So you can put your own, you can use your own font that you want to use. I can't remember which one I used. Maybe it's at the top. Let me see. Okay, that's enough scrolling. See if I can get to the top. It'll show you the most recent. It might be that brush script, but sometimes it'll show you the most recent script that you've used. It's acting wonky, and I think it's acting wonky because I'm trying to do a screen capture. So forgive me if this is more boring. Yeah, it might be that I use this. So let's go ahead and click on that. And one thing you'll notice is that the line spacing is completely off. So I'm in the text menu and I am in the text block itself. Let me hit Control A and change it to the script that I want to use, or the font that I want to use, that brush script. And then for the text height, that's located here at the top, and that's kind of hard to read. So you can adjust the text height there, and then the line height is located in Properties. So when you click on Properties, you'll see, oh, this is the text layer that I'm in. This is the font that I'm using. And here is the line height. And so I usually just do a similar line height to whatever I'm writing in, or whatever font height that I'm using. And then once you have that set up, then you can go in and write your journaling. So we traveled to the Outer Banks, etc., etc., etc. And I'm going to just undo that because I don't need to type in the whole text for you. But I did want to say, when I got down here to the arrows, I just tabbed forward to go around the arrows. Okay? And then let me pull in, just really quickly, pull in some embellishments, and then I will show you how I lay this out to print. So let me go into my Sahlin Studio folder and go to Flashback and the EP. And so there's the camera, and there was something else. The camera and, oh, the label. I used the label. So two things just to show you how I lay this out for print. So let me copy and paste this into the layout itself, and I'm going to use the label here. I'm going to put the label right here underneath this strip. So let me position that label underneath it. Actually, I can just drag that. There we go. Okay, and then the camera, I'm just copying and pasting, and I'm going to put that here next to that, so that I have an approximate idea of where I want to place it for now. And what I recommend doing is, once you have your layout, once you have it figured out how you want your layout to look, and you have all the elements, and you have the text written, and if you're adding a title, you've added your title. Save that as a JPEG or as something so that you have a visual reference for how you intended to put it together. Because at this point, what we're going to do is, for printing, I'm going to take it apart a little bit. And so let me go to the background layer. Also, make sure that you're not working in your original template. So I'm going to unlock that background layer. I just double clicked on it and hit OK. And then I'm going to add another layer underneath the background layer. And so then I'm going to go to Image, Canvas Size, and I'm going to tell it that I want it to be 13 by 19. So I'm printing on a wide format printer. And now I have the 13 by 19 canvas size. Let me just zoom out a little bit. And so now I can arrange all of these elements on my printer, on the printed page, before I print it. And so first thing that I'm going to do is, because I want to maximize the space, so I'm going to go ahead and select all of the layers, even the ones that we're not going to, even the ones that aren't going to be shown, and I'm going to move those over to the far left side. You can move it to the far right side if you want. And that way I have real estate for my 12 by 12 background paper, and then the additional elements, which are going to be moved over here. So first off, I'm going to turn off the layers that I don't need. I don't need quote right here. The two elements, quotes, or elements, layers, I don't need. Where's the other one? There's the other. Okay. And so at this point, I also want to, for the purposes of this print, I want to turn off the photo layers, because I'm going to print the photos on a totally different page. But the elements is what I'm really looking for on this page. And so I'm going to just I'm going to select each element. Not like that, I'm not. Okay, there's the pattern paper and the paper strip. And I'm going to just slide that over, and then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. And make sure that it's all showing, and click OK. And then I'm going to do that with each one of the elements. So that they will all be shown over here. And ready to be printed. Whoops. Grab both of the layers. Turn it on a 90 degree. Make sure that it's straight on the page. And I'm just going to move all of these so that you can see sort of what it looks like on the page. And now this is ready to print. Okay, so once you print that, then turn your photo layers back on. And I want to select all of the photos and the layers that they're on. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hit duplicate layers. And when you look at the duplicate layers window here, you'll see the line that says document. And I'm going to click new document and hit OK. And then you'll see that it created a new document with just those photos on it. And one thing that you're going to want to do before you print is it has this saved on the clipboard in the background. And sometimes that will keep you from being able to print. I don't know why. It's just a quirk that Photoshop has. And so we're going to go into the edit menu and purge. And we're going to click purge the clipboard, and it says this cannot be undone. That's fine. Click OK. And now you'll be able to print just like normal. And this photo here, you can see it's overlapping just a little bit. So I'm going to slide that up. And that way I'll get the full print. And then let me show you just the last final thing is I'm going to print this on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. And so let me go in my print menu. Even though it copied it onto a 13 by 19 sheet, let me go into the print menu. It's trying to pull it up, I think. Yeah, there it is. Okay. It's dragging so bad. But when you go into your print menu, then select an 8.5 by 11 sheet. And you should be able to get all three of these on there. But go into your print settings and select letter size, portrait. Let me do a matte photo paper, and I want borderless so that it will be the actual size that I've planned for on the screen. Always preview before printing. That's in the main window. And then in the page setup window, you'll see this little amount of extension. And the way that it's set is that it's not going to print the size that you see on the screen. So we're going to slide that all the way to the left. And this is in the Canon print menu. I don't know if all printers have a menu that's similar to this. I don't know. But that will make sure if you use the borderless printing and then you use this far left amount of extension, then it will do pretty close to the size that you're looking for. And you'll see how it just automatically centers on the center of the page, but you can slide it so that your photos show where you want them to. And if you want to preserve or use as little printer paper as possible or photo paper, slide it all the way up, center it on your page, and then hit print, and you'll be able to print that. You'll be able to print your 13 by 19 sheet, and then you can cut everything out and assemble it like a normal traditional scrapbook layout. So I hope that's been helpful to you, and I hope that you will join me in the process video for this layout where I will assemble all of these elements together and create this page using the digital elements and creating a hybrid scrapbook layout. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, as always, you can see more details about this layout on our blog at theresamoxley.com. And I will see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.